Welcome to the Shift into Overflow podcast with me, your host, Amber Elliott, founder of Amber Elliott Coaching. Today, we are going to be diving into the source truth of creation. Now, this is a really good episode for all of you out there. And at the end, I am going to give you an actual recipe card to create something that you all want to create. So stay to the end to get that. I promise you it's going to be a good one. All right, so first off, I just wanted to really make sure that everybody understands the actual source truth of creation. We hear the manifestation word just thrown around all the time, and nobody really understands what that means. So that is why I've done a previous episode kind of debunking what manifestation is and what it really is. And essentially, it is creation. Like, we all have the ability to create what we want. But it's not just about like visualizing, doing a vision board, doing affirmations. It's much deeper than that. And there's also specific processes that you can get using your intuition from source. You can get specific recipe cards to create literally whatever you want to in this life, with the caveat that your higher self and your soul both need to okay it. It cannot take you off your soul's purpose for this lifetime, and it can't go against your higher self's plan, but you can negotiate with both your soul and your higher self. And very rarely it's something that you can't create, but just understand that your soul and your higher self have thought out your life and have really created it perfectly. And everything about it is perfectly. So if for some reason you can't create something and you have been to a highly trained intuitive and they haven't been able to negotiate to you, just know that that is because your higher self and your soul have created something so much better for you that is going to benefit your soul so much more and your lifetimes to come after this. Getting back to this idea of a recipe card, let's go and pretend we're in the kitchen. If we wanted to make a cake, there's certain ingredients that we need. And we need a certain amount of those ingredients too, to create the desired cake. If we're going for a 2-layer chocolate cake with ganache in the middle and a chocolate buttercream frosting, we need certain ingredients for that. We can't do it without chocolate. And also, if we only have half a cup of chocolate for the entire cake, we cannot make a chocolate cake, a chocolate buttercream, and a chocolate ganache. It's not going to work unless you're making like the world's tiniest cake, and then maybe you can split it down to very small proportions. But if you're making like an 8-inch standard cake, a half cup chocolate is not going to work out. Or if you don't have enough cocoa powder, there's certain things that you're not going to be able to create with that. So the same is true for literally everything that you can create in this world and in this life. Everything has certain ingredients, and you must hold those ingredients in your kitchen with the right amounts, and you must keep them for the amount required in order for you to actually create what you are trying to create in this life. Just like if you made that cake, but you were low on eggs, you wouldn't be able to make that cake exactly how you originally planned. Sure, there's substitutes, but it's not going to be the exact same cake that you set out to create, and you also need those substitutes. But to keep it very like surface level and easy for everybody to understand, I just want you all to think of it as a recipe card. You have those ingredients. You must have those ingredients to create what you are desiring to create, and it needs to be in those exact proportions, those exact amounts, and you need to have each of those exact ingredients in order to replicate what that recipe was originally creating. Just like if you were setting out to create $1 million, you need the exact $1 million recipe card. You can't be missing one of the vital ingredients. You can't have a low level of one of the vital ingredients. You're not going to make it. And that's what the manifestation world misses so much, because they think that XYZ got them to where they are, but the truth is they didn't even know that they had another ingredient in their kitchen. And that's why their students can't replicate it. That's why if you go to learn from people who don't have a trained intuition and haven't actually created, they think they create, it's not their fault. But with intuition, we can look in and we can actually read people's soul's contract, and we can see if it was actually something that their soul planned or if it was something that they actually created. And a lot of the times it's not something they actually created. Their soul gave them that certain plan to get that certain result. And that certain result is actually going to lead them to a bigger lesson in their soul's plan that they needed. So oftentimes when we're talking about like big people in the manifestation industry, and a lot of people that you might be listening to and wondering how they created X, Y, and Z, and you can't create X, Y, and Z. When we go in and we look at their soul contract, we can see that they manifested a bunch of money because later in life they were going to realize, oh, money doesn't fulfill me. I actually need to find inner fulfillment. So that is why they had those certain ingredients when they came to this earth. Their soul had those certain ingredients so they could manifest all that money to in turn learn that lesson. But when we dissect it to we're filling our own cup first, we are working internally to our external world, which is how we actually create our internal world. Is our external reality is a reflection of our internal world. So we must do inner work first. And that is why intuition is so important, because we can actually get to all the obstacles in your way. We can actually get to all the limiting beliefs in your way. We can bring in neuroscience to actually reprogram. We can bring in energy work to release that energy that no longer serves you and bring back the parts of your energy body that you have lost around this way. So then you can start to be whole. You can start to have those thoughts, beliefs, actions, the sense of literal wholeness, self-love, all those things to be able to create whatever you want in this life. So going even further down into this recipe card is that even if you don't follow the instructions on a recipe card, you are not going to create what you set out to create and what that recipe was originally intended to create. Now, this doesn't always have to be a bad thing, because I know I've messed up on a recipe and still got something I was excited about, but it wasn't the same thing. And if you are creating $1 million, but you slightly adjust that recipe card, you might get 500K, which that's great. Like, I'm sure that all of us could be happy with manifesting and creating another 500K. But because you altered something in that recipe card, you didn't get that $1 million that you originally set out to create. And this can also be in when you are mixing together ingredients in your, let's go back to our chocolate cake. When we are mixing together ingredients, if we don't mix them all the way and we leave that flour pockets everywhere and it's clumpy, and maybe we even don't mix in the egg all the way, so there's like some egg just sitting there. When we bake that cake, that is not going to turn out how we want it to. It's going to have flour pockets. It's going to have some like crispy egg on the corner. It is not going to be that cake that we desire to create because we didn't mix it all the way. And this is a great tie-in, because something that's also missing from the manifestation world is you actually have to do work. There is work required out of you to create what you want to. And if you are lazy and you half-ass stuff and you don't mix that cake all the way, you are not going to get that desired result. And that is the same. And that is the same for when you set out to make that $1 million recipe card. You might be doing the inner work, but you might get super lazy on the physical actions that you need to take, and you might not be putting yourself out there, and you are half-assing that part of the recipe card. You are not going to get that $1 million. And that is what is so freaking important, and why it's so beneficial to look at creation as a recipe card, because we can really tie in so much of what we need for creation, looking at it like making a cake, like making muffins, like making a quiche. We need certain things to get our desired reality. So tying this all together in a nice little bow and a little summary before I give you a recipe card, the most important takeaways today is to really understand that you need certain ingredients to make that desired creation into your reality. You need to put in the work that is required to make that certain creation, just like following the instructions on a recipe card. And then we also need to feel whole within ourselves, and we need to be doing inner work in order to be a match to our external reality. Now, with the recipe card, this is tied into the ingredients. There's ingredients that you need that help you feel your creator field and get your thoughts, beliefs, actions, all that in the right place so then you can create that. But I just want to add that additional layer because if you're new to this work or you haven't done a lot, it could be a little confusing. And I just want to make sure that we have all the layers and we have all the source knowledge of creation. Now, I cannot fit all of Source's knowledge in a short podcast episode. And I really try to make these super digestible. So just know that although all this information is so high frequency, it is meant to get you on your soul's path, I don't know everything. And I talk to Source and I channel Source for you all. And I teach my students also how to channel Source. So you can go and you can check over my work and you can understand the stuff for yourself and you can talk to Source yourself. And I just really want to make sure that you're empowered to keep on exploring and to train your intuition so that you can access this and you can get all the information. Of course, as we go along this podcast, I will be layering on a bunch more information, but this is like 0.01% of what I could actually tell you. But this is so much more than the manifestation world tells you too. So just know there are so many components to creation, and the best way that you can create and the best way you can get on your soul's purpose and the best way you can access a life that you actually love is to actually train your intuition. And I am opening up a intuitive activation course super soon, so you can get on the wait list with the link below. You'll be the first to be notified when that course goes live, and this will start to help you train your own intuition, heighten it, and start getting it down to a scientifically precise instrument that you can use in your day-to-day life to literally solve any problems and create whatever you want to in this life. I have helped students shift out of health issues. I have helped them negotiate with their soul to not have health issues later on in their life. I have helped people align with their soul complement. I have helped people shift physical things on their body like acne and rashes. I have also helped people align with their soul's purpose, which is like the most fulfilling thing ever, and to get them their finances better, to get them to a life that they love, a life by design, and a life that feels so purposeful and fulfilled that it's hard to describe in words. And that is all what you guys can do and more, because I hope my students surpass me. I hope you continue on to gather all the information and put it to use and keep on learning, because you have my years of experience that I'm giving to you, and now you can go off and make it even better, which is so great. Because like when you're getting those like basic levels, and you don't have to actually go through it yourself about finding out all those basic levels, you now have a solid foundation and you save so much more time. So you can get more advanced than me because I had to learn the basics first. Okay, now for the moment that you have been waiting for, I am going to give a recipe card to how to make an extra $5,000 a month. Told y'all you would want to stick around for this. So this is actually 3 ingredients. The 3 ingredients that you need to have and to hold for a period of time is passion. So you have to be very passionate about your life, and it will seep into all areas. The greatest way that you can start to do this is actually to get a passion hobby area of your life. Now, this is something that you do for fun. You do not make money in it, and it is something that's going to light you up. And it's something that's going to light you up so much. And then that's just going to seep into all the other areas, especially your career, which aligns you with more money and makes people more magnetized to you, because a lot of people lack passion. So when somebody's passionate about their work, it just overflows. Like people want to be around you. You are just more magnetic. You can bring more people in. People feel how passionate you are. And then a lot more people will pay you for your work. And then value. You have to know you are internally valuable. You have to be able to fill your own cup and get actual examples and emotionally root to why you are the best of the best, even if you did nothing. How you brought tremendous value into the world, even if you sat on your couch all day. And that is a hard ingredient for a lot of us to root to at first, but I promise it gets easier. You just got to start. And then the other one is commitment. Now, this means not giving up on your work and showing up consistently for yourself. So if you tell yourself that you're going to go work out today, you're going to go work out today. Even if originally you thought you were going to work out for 30 minutes and it turns out to be 15, that's okay. You still held that commitment in a certain way and you still showed up and you still did something for yourself. And then if you say that you're going to go talk to somebody and pitch them your idea, you're going to go talk to somebody and pitch them your idea. If you say you're going to go do energy work in the morning every single time before you wake up from now and forever because you want to put yourself first so the world puts you first, you're going to start doing your energy work in the morning. Now, for this recipe card to work, for you to align with that, you have to hold all these ingredients in high levels for a duration of time. Now, the easiest way, again, to track your percentages is to either go to an intuitive, a trained intuitive, or to train your intuition yourself. But you also need to have emotional mastery tools when you're doing something like this, because all too often we can emotionally manipulate our intuition. And it's telling us that we have like 100% of commitment, when really, if you go to a trained intuitive, they're telling you you're like at 15, you're at 15. You're just emotionally manipulating your percentage. And that's why it's also really important. It's something I do is also I teach my students how to have emotional mastery in combined with training their intuition so that they can actually get highly accurate results and start reading themselves without manipulating all the time. And that is also a muscle that you train, because in the start and for the first couple of months of training your intuition, that is something really, really hard to do. And that's why I recommend that you do not make any big decisions in your life when you're first training your intuition. You must have emotional mastery before then. I am going to end it there. There is so much value in this episode, and this is like, again, just like a very, very small percentage of source truth around creation, but this just really challenges you to go deeper and to understand that the manifestation world isn't telling you everything, and the way to actually manifest / create in this life is through this way. It is through talking to source. It is through getting those recipe cards. And it's not to say that you have to do it a certain way, but source has all the information, and being able to train your intuition, access source, is the way that you can quickly create in this life, and is the way that the closer you get to source creation, the more that you can create in your life, in simple terms. I really hope this helps. And also just a reminder that if anything in any of this podcast episode made you feel limited, that is not the way that it was intended. It is because I didn't explain something right. So please reach out to me. This information is supposed to make you feel expansive. It is source information. I hope it is like intentional to bring you back to who you are at the core, that light being, that broken piece off of source, here to learn and master multiple things. It is not meant to make you feel limited. If it did, please reach out. I will try my best to explain it in a way that helps you more, and really puts that power back, because everybody deserves to be in their power and to know their truth and to discover who they are and to have a strong connection with source, so that they can stop relying on everybody else for information and get it through source and their higher self and their soul. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Shift into Overflow podcast.